That's
Yes,
probably a good
save it.
idea. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can save that for next week. But today, as I said, Aaron's traveling, so I'm going to be running the session today, and I will get my slides up. I'm going to go through a lot of content quite quickly, so we got time at the end to go through some more interactive exercise. I think all of you folks really enjoyed the interactivity part of this, more than back just going through dry PowerPoints, right? So I will try to speed through this very quickly today and pick up, and then we'll go back to some. I've got 4 exercises for you folks today, so get your brain caps on, and we will definitely get through it together. Okay, so first let's get this rocking and rolling. Let me hit the share screen. I'll make sure nothing blows up in the process. There we go. All right, I'm going to put myself in presentation mode. Can you see my screen, everybody? Okay, just put a thumbs up. Yeah, great, fantastic. Well, so here we are, session 10. Really supposed to be session 8, but I know we slotted in a couple of bonus sessions, which we hope you found very, very useful. Today, we're going to talk about optimization. So the optimization phase we'll talk about in a moment. We're going to talk about how you go about optimizing your YouTube ads, how you go about optimizing your Google search campaigns. Remember, the sort of big 3 channels that you'll be working in is in Facebook. We talked about Facebook optimization on our last session on Tuesday. And then, of course, scaling. How do you get to sort of really big numbers without any fear at all about your profitability and so forth? And then, of course, we'll be talking and going through the interactive exercise. So with that said, just a reminder of the process overview. We've gone through this several times, but it just helps you sort of map out your time and plan your time accordingly. You've got phase 1, which is the pre-launch. We've already talked about that in previous sessions. And then phase 2, which is the launch and the initial testing. We talked about Facebook in session 9, and we're going to talk about YouTube in a second. And then we're going to talk about today as well, a little bit more about optimization and certainly scaling. One of the most wonderful things about paid media is that when you get everything locked down, i.e. that everything in your campaigns are performing to the way it should be, and B, that your funnel is performing the way it should be, then basically it's scale city. And it is, yes, it takes time to scale, of course, but this is when you really start getting into the big numbers of, like, you know, 500,000, $1 million a month in profitable ad spend. It's not a problem at all. So I'm going to show you exactly what we do here in 7 Mile and how we go about scaling. I'm going to show you some examples as well. Okay, so with that said, let's have a look and go straight into YouTube, because we covered Facebook last time. Remember, if you just cast yourself back to this time last week, we were talking about how you set up your campaign. So you've got 3 campaigns, $50 a piece. There's your segments, and then you're going into basically create 3 ads within a single ad group. Remember that YouTube has this problem, and unlike Facebook, where you can set your budgets at an ad group or ad set level, as they call it in Facebook language, but in Google, you don't have that opportunity. You basically put the budget that you want to spend at your campaign level. Okay, so you're going to be setting up 3 campaigns, each one with different targeting, keywords, in market, websites, and so on. That's on the previous session that we talked about 2 sessions ago. And here's a note, because I've noticed not all of you, of course, have big budgets, and that's perfectly okay. I've mentioned this many times before. You can start with a lot smaller, but no matter what your budget is, please, please, please put at least 2 ads. In that case, when you don't have $50 a day, for example, per campaign, or you don't have $100, that's okay. You can start with smaller if you wish to, but just make sure that you put a couple of ads into your ad group in YouTube, okay? And this was the ads sort of format where you're going to put the hook and the hook 1 and hook 2 and so forth in your different ads, okay? If you've got any questions, of course, as usual, just let us know. Now, here's the decision-making guidelines. So you're always, just like you are in Facebook, like you are in TikTok, Google search is different, excuse me, is a little bit different, but essentially in YouTube and in Facebook and in TikTok, you're always going to be looking at your performance at the ad level. When you look at your stats at the campaign or the ad set or ad group level, it can be very misleading, okay? But the general rule is to follow, like I said in Facebook, that you're always going to look at your stats at the ad level. Just like in Facebook, you're going to keep an eye on your campaigns every day just to watch out for trends. Remember in YouTube that your main advertising KPIs, these are the ad KPIs, is that your view rates need to be around 20% or better. It doesn't matter if it's like 18%, 19%. There's some margin for error there. I wouldn't kill, for example, a campaign if you're getting like a 19% view rate. And but these are just sort of the general KPIs that we shoot for in our ad accounts, okay? Now, when you launch a new campaign in YouTube, there's a setting which we're going to see in a moment, which is called your bidding, okay? This is essentially how YouTube works in terms of bidding. So remember, as you're putting an ad out there, you're entering an auction against all your competitors. But when you are starting right from scratch, your advertising account, your ad account, your Google Ads account will have absolutely no conversion data in the ad account itself. You're literally starting from scratch. You're going to have zero leads recorded in the system, zero book calls recorded in the system. These are the infamous conversion actions that I talked about when we were talking about YouTube ads some sessions ago. So when you are launching from scratch, you need to set your bidding to there's a setting in there called the bidding option, basically, and you're going to be starting out with what's known as maximized conversions. What does that mean? It means that for your budget, Google is going to try and get you the maximum number of conversions on that particular campaign. All right. And there's another setting within there, and we can have a look at it. Maybe we'll see it on the next screen, maybe not actually. I'll show you if we have time. But you essentially are telling the system that when you set up a campaign, you're going to say, I want leads. So you're going to have a conversion action which is created in your ad account, which is going to record the number of leads that you get. And then the system will learn based on that optimization point, okay? Now, when you're launching, the general behavior you're going to experience is that you're going to need for the first 3 to 7 days or 6 to 14 days, depending on your budget. If you can afford it, go for $50 a day. It's just a chicken and egg situation. If you don't have the data, then essentially it will take generally a little bit longer, or sometimes it looks like a lot longer for you to start seeing some trends in the right direction. Our experience is that we normally start with $100 a day. Most of our clients start with $300 a day, but you can perfectly, start up with $50 a day or less if you have issues with budget. Okay. And what will happen over the first 3 to 7 days, this is the downside of Google. I've mentioned this YouTube ads before. The difficulty is that it's slow to get going. And that is because the audiences in YouTube, don't forget, YouTube is the second most visited website on the planet after Google itself. Facebook, I think, is in 3rd or 4th position. But because the amount of traffic flowing through the YouTube platform, the audiences are just so ginormously huge that it takes longer for Google to find the right audiences within your targeting. Okay, so this is why you have to be more patient with YouTube. Okay, but with that said, you should start to see some traction, not on the first day. By the time your ad is approved, you've got to wait at least 3 days before you can sort of look at the numbers and see if they're starting to trend in the right direction. But just like in Facebook, what you might find is that you start getting leads quite quickly. Even after as little as 3 days or 4 days, you might start getting conversions. So what happens here is that when you're on the maximize conversions bidding setting in the campaign level, what will happen is that you may find that your view rates and your CTRs are atrociously low. That's okay within reason. And what I mean by that is that if you are getting conversions at your desired KPI, in other words, you're getting at leads, let's say your target lead cost is $10, and you spend, you're getting them at $15, let's say, well, then you can keep the campaign on, even though the view rates and CTRs are low. You can fix that problem afterwards, and I'll explain how. But if still nothing is working after that period of time, essentially the problem is with the ad itself. And so what you're going to have to do, if you remember from phase 1, you had to prepare a number of videos. You're going to insert your new video, basically video number 3 or number 4 or number 5. You're going to pause the ad in the ad level, of course. You're going to pause the ad, and then you're going to insert a new one directly into the same campaign, okay? And still after that, after another 3 or 4 days, it's still not working, then clearly your audiences are not working for that particular creative. Make sense so far? Just put like a hand up or something. I've got you on video, I can see you in videos, but let me know if you got questions afterwards. All right, so these are the general decision guidelines, and I'm going to show you an example, a real case study here, and then I've got a question for all of you. This is where we're going to try and make it a little bit more interactive. So have a look at this. This is a very recent case. We've got a video in there. It's video number 16, or it's ad number 16, but it's video 15 with a length of about 1 minute. It's saying not eligible because the campaign is paused, that's all. But have a look at the view rate here. We've got a view rate of 5.68%, so well below our 20%, and we've got a CTR of 0.37%. So that's well below our KPI. Okay, both in this case, both are well below our KPI. And you can see this conversions column over here. You can see that it says 12, but in this case, it's just a conversion. It's not a real true conversion. It's just people that are hitting the actual VSL page. So this is a strategy call funnel where the funnel goes where you've got an opt-in. We've got an opt-in, but we've got a landing page with an opt-in. Then you've got on the thank you page, you've got a VSL page. And then from there, it goes to the calendar or an application and then to a final thank you page. In this case, we were testing going directly, listen to this carefully, we're going directly to the VSL page. We're skipping the opt-in. And that's just a way to shortcut your testing, meaning that if we're still not getting leads, then maybe we need to, you can go and do a direct test to your VSL page, if that makes sense, okay? So in this example, we had a budget of what, $70 a day, but as you can see, you know, the view rates, CTR are very low, and we had 0 book calls after 1 week, so we killed the campaign. This is a classic case that will happen to you, especially when you're on the maximize conversions bidding strategy, okay? This is just normal. If it happens to you, don't freak out. What you've got to do is follow the guidelines that I outlined before, and then you would simply insert another ad. And that's exactly what we did in this particular case, okay? Now, I've just gone through something here. So let's have a look at this. There you can see the funnel. This is another ad, ad 17. Look at this. We got the landing page. This time we are actually going to send, we're sending the traffic from this ad to a landing page where they have to opt in. Once they opt in, they get to step 2 in the funnel. Once they get to step 3, they go to an application, and then they get to a booking page. So if you have a look at this, these are just the views on the page itself. But what would you do? Let me just ask you, all of you, what would you do in this example? And just put it in the chat. I'm going to open my chat box here. What would you do in this case? Look at the view rate, look at the CTR. What would you actually do here? Testing you already, you see. What action would you take on this particular ad? And I'm waiting for answers with bated breath. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, folks. So we've got a view rate of 4.2, try to increase conversions on the landing page. Yes. Yeah, good one. Because how many conversions we got? 16 divided by 205. Can you see what's going on here, folks? Anyone else? Any other answers? So Kevin's put something in.
CTR seems low.
Yeah.
Jenny says.
Yeah. CTR seems low. Exactly. Yeah. Correct. What else have we got going wrong here? Anyone else? Don't be shy. This is not there's no right or wrong. It's just to get you engaged a little bit.
Suzanne says, so work on a stronger call to action or a better reason to click to improve CTR.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else? Good. Very high impressions and low views. Exactly. The view rate seems the biggest problem. Yeah. You've all got it right. There's lots of problems going on in here, right? We've got a very low view rate. Remember, our goal is to get to 20%, folks. So people are not engaging. Look how many times this video ad has been shown to our target audience. 57,000 times. That's a lot, okay? That's a lot. And generally speaking, another metric that you can look at, and so write this down or look at the recording afterwards, is generally speaking, we like to get to around 5,000 impressions in YouTube before we know whether it's sort of almost not working or working. Rick is asking, would view rate be low because of the thumbnail? No, I'll come back to that in a moment, Ricky. So the problem here is that we've got a low view rate, we've got a low CTR, and we've got a very low opt-in rate. Okay, we're just opting in. We've just got a 7.8 opt-in rate, and most opt-in rates on landing pages should be around 20%. So we've got lots of problems going on in here in this ad. So the ultimate answer here is that we would kill this ad. Okay, it's just not working. When you add up all these different statistics here, you've got a low opt-in rate, which means that this ad is not resonating with people that are reaching the landing page, and therefore they're not opting in. And that's further reinforced by the fact that the CTR is very low. Remember, our target is 1%, but we are 0.7% off. We've only got 0.29%. And then we've got a view rate. Hardly anyone is engaging with this video. Hardly anyone, 4.23%. Okay. So the answer would be you would kill this. Now, can you spot something else odd in this stats? This is my second question. Anyone spot it? No? Give you a clue. Look at the clicks column. How many clicks have we got? Got 164. And yet we've had 205 people hit the landing page. How can we have a situation where we've only had 164 clicks on the ad, but 205 people have hit the landing page? That's impossible, right? Yeah, we've got a problem here. So what this just shows you that you've got to be careful about your tracking. So this event, this conversion, all conversions, yeah, 225 The 225 is the sum of all of these, Suzanne, okay? But if you compare the number of clicks, 164, and you need this column, by the way, you need to set up these columns. Here are the good columns you need in YouTube ads: cost, impressions, views, view rate, click, CTR, average CPC, or conversions. So how can we have 164 clicks on the ad and 205 people actually hitting the landing page? That's not possible. So what we discovered is that this actual event was double firing during about a period of about 1 or 2 days. And so we stopped it, we cleaned it up, but the stats, it pushed the stats out. So we could interpret that the opt-in rate was actually 16 people opted in for 164. It's a little better, it's about 10%, folks, but it's still way below 20%. So even with that said, you know, we would just go ahead and exactly, tracking is broken. You got it, Nicholas. You hit the nail on the head. So one of the important things to do is to create just a page view type conversion action in your Google Ads account. And you can see how we've actually, we've labeled it. To see these lines, by the way, you have to have the all conversions column set up, all right? And you also need to click on a button called segment, and then conversions, and then conversions actions. You'll see it in the Google Ads Manager itself. Okay, so far so good. Okay, let's keep going. The thumbnail, generally, it could be, yes, it could be. The view rate could be low because it's like, what the hell, why am I going to watch some blurry video? Yes, it could be, absolutely. But generally speaking, we don't see a huge, in our experience, Ricky, we don't see a huge, surprisingly, as opposed to what's the word I'm looking for? Organic traffic. It doesn't seem to influence greatly. It depends on the placement as well. So it's a little bit, it doesn't have as much influence as it would, for example, in organic YouTube, where the thumbnail is very important to get people to start watching your video. It's almost like a call to action, right? So yeah, good, well done. Now, I just want to continue here with Facebook because with YouTube, because this is important, because now we're going to go into Google search. I said we're going to go very, very quickly today. But one of the things you're going to find is that once you have your campaigns working in the context of what we've already spoken about, you're going to need to change the bidding strategy from maximize conversions to target CPA. When you set up a brand new campaign, this is the screen you'll see. Once you've created the campaign, you're going to see these options in what's known as the settings on the left-hand side in YouTube ads, okay? In Google ads, basically. And essentially, you're going to see your bidding strategy down towards the bottom under locations here. It'll be set to maximize conversions. You just go ahead and change it to target CPA. And in this case, we're trying to get leads at $15 on this account. And so we've literally put the target CPA at $30. Okay. So when you've got when you've got a campaign working and you've sorted out between the creative, you've got the right targeting, you're getting conversions coming in at about 150%, no more than 150% of your first conversion point in your funnel, you're going to then change the campaign over to target CPA bidding, and you're going to put twice your CPA in there, okay? You can test eventually at 3 times CPA and so on and so forth, but 2 times CPA is normally where we start with. And this is really the foundation for phase 3, where you'll be able to start scaling your campaigns quite quickly, and you'll see why in a minute, okay? So what happens is that let's say you had a bigger budget and you had 10 campaigns running, you might find that 3 of the 10 are actually working under the max conversions. You can start scaling those immediately, almost straight away, once you switch them over to target CPA, okay? So there's a bit of an overlap here that occurs. I'm not suggesting, therefore, what I'm trying to explain to everybody here is that when you have an opportunity that something is working, seize the moment. Don't wait for phase 2 to end. Just on average, just because it takes 45 days on average to dial in an account for us, it doesn't mean that all the campaigns are bad in those 45 days. Within 15 days or 7 days sometimes, we'll have a campaign that's working straight away, and we will take it and swap it out and move it straight into target CPA so that you can start, you'll basically be going through another optimization phase, which is what the Google algorithm will do, and then you're going to scale from there. Okay. So that's the next part. So remember, all of that I've talked about with you is mainly focused around phase 2, around the YouTube ecosystem. Now let's have a look at phase 2 now for Google search ads. So this is when you're going into optimization. All right. There's only 2 things really you need to concentrate on during those 30 to 45 days. Roughly, it will be accomplished like in Facebook for the first 30 days. Excuse me. So what you're going to do is go into, this is the Google AdWords interface. If you've not seen it before, by the way, the campaign settings are under here, this option here. That's where you can go into your campaign settings and change the bidding. Okay. But in Google search, when you pull up your search campaigns, you're going to go into this menu here called keywords, and then you're going to click on search terms. Now, when you click on search terms, what Google is going to give you is not every, but it will give you a good amount of keywords that are triggering your ads. Now, all of this is not going to make a lot of sense to you if you haven't done Google search before, of course, or you haven't had an opportunity to go through the training, Kasim's training on paid traffic mastering. Okay. But you have to look at your search terms, and that will Google will tell you, look, these keywords are the ones that triggered your ads. But many of those keywords, folks, will be irrelevant, completely irrelevant. For example, this is a client that is selling a coaching program to massage therapists, and she's teaching them how to basically increase the number of customers, how to acquire more customers, how to build more loyalty with your customers, and so on. It's a coaching program designed for business owners, massage therapists, business owners, whether they're freelance or whether they're working in a little you know, location, a small location or a bigger location. Essentially, you need to look at the search terms. And for example, like 30-minute chair massage near me is not relevant to this audience. So what happens is that you're going to see these kind of words come up in the search terms report. Unfortunately, what Google has been doing is truncating some of them. It's not giving all the data that it used to, but it's good enough. It's certainly enough volume. When there's enough volume of negative keywords, you can take them from this report, and then you can add them. This is step number 2, is you add them into your negative keyword list here. How do you add it? You just press on this plus button, and it will come up with a little pop-up, and then you're going to put in the negative keywords. Remember, all this is, folks, is that negative keywords are keywords that are not relevant to your offer, that you have on your landing page or on your website, as the case may be. Most of the time, it's going to be on a funnel. So fast, okay? So remember, use this, because otherwise you're spending. Why would you spend money on people that are clicking on 3-month massage therapy program New York City? That doesn't make any sense. And yes, you can set them up to the you can set them up to the excuse me, the campaign. You can put them at campaign level, you can put them at account level, or you can put them even down to ad group level as well if you want. Normally we put them at campaign levels, or we put them at account levels. Okay, so in other words, we don't want any of these keywords to appear or to trigger an ad. There's no point showing an ad to people that is just completely irrelevant, because you're just wasting your money. Okay, so the optimization phase during those 30 days, once you've launched and you figured out your keywords, all the things that we talked about last week, then you need to start looking at this report on a daily basis. Okay, especially during the first 30 days, you need to go in and keep an eye on this as your account, as the account grows. You'll find that this becomes a little bit less frequent, particularly after something like 6 months or something of that nature. It depends on the niche you're in. Okay, so the first thing you're going to have to do is eliminate your non-relevant keywords. The second big optimization that you're going to do during the first 30 days is improving your quality scores. I think I explained this in a previous session on the Google session last week, but every time you bid for a keyword, okay, every time you bid for one, you're going to get, not immediately, but you will over time, once you get a reasonable amount of impressions, I think it's 500 impressions, Google will give you feedback on the quality score of the keyword itself. Okay, and I'll answer these questions. I can see some questions going in. So the quality score is made up of 3 different elements, and I put them down here. You can see that there's the landing page experience, you've got the ad relevance, and the expected CTR. Okay, it's these 3 that give you your overall quality score. Anything around below 5, we normally put in, or we note as a red. Anything around 1 to 3 is red, and then 4, 5, and 6 is kind of yellow, and then 7 or 8, 8, 9, 10 is in the green. We put it in the green zone. Okay, so sometimes you just can't improve these quality scores, but if you look at what's going on here, look at the CTR. It's way over. And remember, in Google, folks, the average CTR in Google search is approximately 3.19%, okay, in the market. So roughly 3.19%. So the CTRs in Google search are much higher than they are in Facebook or they are in YouTube. So, but even then you can see we're sort of still beating the industry average. We've got 4.25, 4.12 here, and 15.7 over here. Okay, this one is really doing well because essentially it's a branded keyword. It's the name of the business that we're promoting here. So you can see that everything is above average here when it comes up. Okay, and I've given you the exact term, so you can refer to this afterwards. But how do you go about improving your quality scores? Well, there's lots of things you can do, and you're going to look at this. For example, this keyword, it says the ad relevance is below average. So if you look at like the ad relevance, it means that we're not including in the various ads associated with this keyword, we have generally a low ad relevance score. Okay, what that means is that we're not including as much as we should the actual keyword that the user's typing is not included in the text ad itself. You should try to include the keyword as much as you can within the ad itself. Okay, when you got your expected CTR, it's kind of like average here, yeah, below average, and this expected down. This one's a little bit more difficult. Okay, so it's based on your past click-through performance in your ads, but it can also affect like visibility. So one of the things you need to be able to do in Google search ads, and I said, I'm not going through the detail on purpose, not to confuse you or to hide anything. It's just that a lot of this is covered in the the paid traffic mastery program itself. So look at the relevant sectors in that program, and this will make a little bit more sense if this is all sort of like Chinese to you. Okay, so with that said, that is what you need to do on your Google search campaigns during the first 30 days. Okay, Just looking at some questions. I answered already. Nicholas, is there a tool to automate this based on different conditions, such as if CTR is less than 5%, then add a negative keyword? So yes, you do have these things called AdWords scripts or Google Ad scripts that you can do. They're actually available for purchase as well. But you can get what are known as scripts, which can actually do things like shut down the ad if the CTR is very low, for example. Okay. And then I'm not too sure if there's a script which will add it not automatically to the negative keyword library, but I'm pretty sure it would be there by now. It's just actually just a piece of code that you need to put in, which are setting up these rules, and they're called Google Ad scripts. Yes, you can find people on Upwork and that sort of thing. Yes, you can find people to do this for you. Yeah, absolutely. So reach out in Slack, Nicholas, if you're still having trouble with all of this. Okay. Generally speaking, though, folks, if you don't have those sort of resources or you don't want to outsource it, these are just guidelines. It just means that if you get a low quality score, it doesn't mean you're not going to get conversions. Of course you will. Yes, you will get conversions. And even the CTR is way above. We're getting 4.25%. Okay. But what you're trying to do is just review. You see the cost here, 2.91. If you have this, look at the difference in CPC. Okay. The cost per click. This one is getting a very good, and we're paying way less for it, $1.12 a click. Here, we're getting penalized because our scores are average on certain areas, but it also comes down to the competition. So it's a complex algorithm to actually sort of scientifically pin it down. And the reason is because Google doesn't give you all the data. You'll see with experience that that's, and by the way, it's perfectly okay to pay a high CPC if you're converting. I mean, if you're going to get like, for example, booked appointments for $10, you know, it's quite okay to continue paying $3 a click. It's just that if you want to get less, you just need to work on the ads themselves. You might have to work on the landing page. You can see it's put average here, but it's saying average within the context of the keyword that I'm using. Okay. So it's always within the context of individual keywords. You won't get these columns come up by default, by the way. You'll have to go and select them in your columns and select quality score. You just select basically these 4 columns over here. Okay. So that's that one. Okay. Fine. Scaling. Are there any more questions on just phase 2? I said I've gone through this very quickly, so please watch the replay, because there's a lot of information I packed into this. But are there any questions so far? I can't see any. Can you, Cynthia? Sorry, Cecilia.
Yes, we did you see the one from Mahai that says negative keywords are at campaign level?
Yes, I think I answered that one, but the answer is we either do it at account level or at campaign level. We rarely do it at ad group level. Normally there's something called the shared library that you set up. And so you can have the shared library set up either at your ad account level, and if you're running an agency, you can do that at your MCC level as well. So if you're running like multiple clients, for example, in whatever, in the, I don't know, massage business, for example, you're trying to get campaigns, you're trying to get leads for a local business, but you've got different ad accounts for different massage therapists in different states and all the rest of it. You could store the negative keywords at what's known as your MCC level. MCC stands for My Client Center. It's the equivalent in Google to the business manager in Facebook. Okay.
Okay, and then Nicholas had a question. I'm not sure if you had seen his other one after his first one. A lot of work to set up. Did you see that? I didn't.
Oh yeah, I think I answered that one. Yeah, but yes, it can be a lot of work to set up. But as I said, just you can do this totally by yourself to start with. But if you want to sort of set up all the automation, yes, I do recommend you outsource this. So if you want to use Google Ad Script, no, I'm going to do it myself. Nicholas is laughing. I'm going to do. Well, you don't want to become a coder with Visual Google scripts and all that sort of thing. Okay, all right, I'll let you off, Nicholas. If you don't want to do that, you don't want to be a geek, I'll let you off. Okay, fair enough. All right, folks. Yeah, it does take a long time, but we normally we're not a huge fan of scripts because they can overlap. Meaning if you have one script which is designed to do A, and you have another script that's designed to do B, sometimes they can produce a conflict and a sort of false negative, a false positive. So we tend to always during these first 30 days, only when we get to really, really big, we tend to just isolate very specific scripts we're looking at. So I actually recommend you just manage this manually. It doesn't look as hard it doesn't look as hard as it seems. You can actually manage this by yourself at the beginning, okay? And it's good for you to learn. If you've not run Google search campaigns, it's good for you to learn to see how the system operates and works, okay? All right. Yeah, it just takes too long. I understand, Nicholas. Okay. All right. Well, let's have a look at scaling now, everybody. Here we go. This is where the big money starts happening. We're going to talk about this in more detail and with a bit more context on our bonus session next week, because there's lots of moving pieces to moving a business from 4 figures to 5 figures to 6 to 7 and 8. It does take a lot of time and a lot of effort, but I'm going to teach you now the main tactics you're going to be using and strategies you're going to be using both in Meta or Facebook as well as YouTube as well. Okay, so one of the most interesting tactics, this doesn't always work, but what you're going to do is you're going to take your source campaign. Look at the one at the bottom for now. You've got Quiz Funnel. It's a quiz funnel. It's a conversion-based campaign. It's designed to get website leads, and it's getting them at $23.64. Okay. Now, our KPI on this particular client is $35. So we're well within KPI. We're getting leads cheaper than what the client wants them at. The client wanted them at $35. Okay. And essentially, this one is working, but we can increase the budget on this one. No problem. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But one of the quickest ways to get scale is to duplicate you just literally click on this campaign. There's you hover under it, and there's called duplicate. You click on the duplicate, you're literally going to copy, make a direct duplication of that winning campaign. Literally, it's going to copy over the ad set, the ads, the whole lot, the targeting, everything is going to duplicate the campaign directly. And what you would do, let's just say this one was at $100 a day. Okay, I don't have it on here right now, but let's just say this was at $100 a day. You could duplicate it to 100, but you could also duplicate it and put $200 there. Okay, now you're going to have to test this one, but you can see that our CPA, our cost per lead, or CPA, cost per acquisition, or CPL, cost per lead, is still, it's even doing better on a direct duplicate of this one. You may think that's a bit odd that you're actually sort of duplicating, but trust me, it works. Not all the time, but you need to test it. So you need to keep a close eye on these campaigns. Again, hop in a couple of times a day if they're going south. And this one is starting to go, let's say, to $40. Within 24 hours, you would just simply pause this particular campaign. And there are times, folks, when we're trying to go like scaling very quickly, we will duplicate this up to 10 times. We'll duplicate it 10 times. And when a client says, look, I've got this event coming up, I need more leads, I've got this special offer which is going to expire in the next week, we will duplicate the hell out of these winning campaigns as quickly as we can. Okay. Now, will they produce results as good as this one? Not always. And you can even see, like, for example, this is a duplicate of another campaign. I just couldn't put it on the same screen. But this one is going a little bit high, but this is just an example, and that should be copy 2, and that should be copy 1, 2, and 3, just to get your naming conventions right. But if you look at this one looks like it's faltering, okay? And this one, on the other hand, is working, and this one is working as well. Okay, so it's well within our KPI. So you literally copy and paste, folks. That's all you do, is just literally copy and paste, okay? So that's tactic number 1. And they're not necessarily in this order, by the way. So the next scaling strategy is that you're going to increase your budgets on winning campaigns. Now, don't do this in a huge rush. You need to do this about every 3 days. And the reason is because, especially with iOS 14 now, what you will find is that the data from Apple devices can take 72 hours to appear in your Facebook ads dashboard, okay? Sometimes it will come sooner. It depends how your tracking is set up, whether it depends on lots of different factors, but Facebook provides no guarantee that that data will come through until 72 hours later. Even pre-iOS, we wouldn't do this anyway. And the reason is because Facebook's algorithm just sucks at increasing budgets. So let's say you're at $10 a day and you're saying, oh, this is working. I'm getting leads at ridiculous prices and all the rest of it. You're so happy. You go ahead and say, look, well, I've got all the budget. I'm feeling generous today. I'm going to go from $10 a day and I'm going to go to 100. If you do that, there's a very high probability your campaign will just die. Very high probability. Okay. So what we do is that we double the budgets every day, every 3 days, my apologies, but only until we get to about $100 a day. After that, as long as the cost per lead or cost per appointment, whatever you're optimizing for in your campaigns, if you're doing that, then we will, after about $100, we tend to go in smaller increments, which is why strategy number 1 can help you scale a lot quicker, okay? Just by duplicating the campaigns out. So vertical scaling is another way. And of course, like I've always said, or what Aaron and I have always said, right from day 1, test. One of your what's known as horizontal scaling, is you just keep testing new audience and ad combinations. So you're constantly putting 5 to 10% of your budget away in order to find new scaling opportunities with new audiences and with new creative. That all comes out of what we were talking about the other day, which was your scaling, which was your setting up your sandbox campaigns. If you recall, on Tuesday, we're talking about the sandbox. The sandbox comes from, the horizontal scaling comes from your sandbox campaigns, where you're testing new audiences and ad combinations. And then you can scale those ones up vertically, like we were talking about here. Then you can duplicate them and put them into like what are known as CBO campaigns, okay? Let's move on to YouTube now. So YouTube, exactly the same. You're going to be horizontally scaling again. Remember, folks, this is after your first phase 1 and phase 2. Although in YouTube, I mentioned to you, and the same applies to Facebook and TikTok, if you've got campaigns that are working during phase 2, you can start scaling them up right away, providing you have the budget to do so, or the permission from your boss or the permission from the client to do so. You can't just scale up without knowing, without informing, your boss or client and that sort of thing, okay? So horizontal scaling is, again, where you keep testing new audiences. You're going to set aside about 10% of your budget in YouTube, assuming you got all your campaigns working. Let's say you got, I don't know, $500 a day. Then you're going to say, well, look, okay, I'm going to have $50 for testing every day of the week. Basically, you've got 450 maybe for production, in quotes, campaigns, and you've got 50 for essentially testing, for example. Okay. And what happens with vertical scaling is that Google will prompt you. They're so helpful. They will prompt you to increase the budget. You can see all of these campaigns, and this is a very, We said this is the last 30 days. I literally got this today. So this is an ad account. This is a YouTube ad account client of ours that's spending about $200,000 a month. Okay. All right. In YouTube ads. Why? Because they're making plenty of money off that 200 grand. Why would they spend 200 grand otherwise? Right. It's a lot of money. Okay. And then in this case, they're making about a 4 ROAS. So they're making about $800,000 in revenue per month off 200,000 in ad spend. Okay, so it's a 4 ROAS. Okay, and you can see all these different campaigns that are running. They're running to multiple different funnels. Look at that. You've got a challenge funnel, you've got a VSL funnel, you've got a summit funnel. So there are actually 3 different funnels. Notice the naming convention here that's going on, so that we can quickly see which funnel we're sending traffic to. And this was an original campaign that's still working, and that one's got 430 a day, etc., etc. But all of them are screaming out for more money. Okay, this is literally, I said, I literally took this today. Okay, so limited by budget. All right, now look at the view rates here. Fantastic. I didn't put CTR, I should have put CTR there, but you can see that the view rates are solid, apart from one here. But that one campaign is switched on because the cost to get what we want on that particular campaign for the summit is working very well. Our CPL is very good on that one. So that's why we've got that one going. But you can see like our average cost per view, our CPMs. I talked about CPMs in quite a few sessions ago, but they're all screaming out for budget. So if I just click on, for example, the first one, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, what they're going to do is they're going to say, oh, take me from $430, okay, per day, and we recommend you go and spend all of a sudden $1,300 a day. That's what they recommend. It's their algorithm of telling you to do so. We do not recommend. This one is more like twice, more or less, 870, which is why I've had, you can certainly double your budget in a day, but you would have to leave it for at least, again, 72 hours. What will happen is that if you double your budget in YouTube, what will happen very often is that your CPAs, or rather your view rates and CTRs, may wobble quite dramatically, and your conversions may go down. It takes a while for the system to learn. But don't, whatever you do, follow Google's recommendation. They just want you to spend more money. Please don't do that. Your boss probably won't be very happy. Your client won't be very happy if all of a sudden you're spending $430 a day, and then you accidentally go and put up to $1,300 a day, and then the client's going to come to you. Why, Andy, have you gone and spent another $20,000 without my permission? Okay, so be very careful with the scaling. And the more that you increase it, it gives you some estimates here on what will happen. You get more conversions and all the rest of it. We've tested it, believe it or not, because we've got clients that have that sort of courage, if you want to call it that, or they just are very hungry to grow a particular offer that they're running. Those are the two circumstances. But we've tested going from, for example, 500 to 2,000 a day. And what we found on a consistent basis is that Google will get there, but it can take up to 14 days to dial it in. In the meantime, you're spending a lot of money. So we recommend that you scale gradually. So let's say we got 430. It wouldn't be a problem to put it to, let's say, 600. Google's results will not change, or should not change dramatically with that kind of shift, even at that level of spend. This is something which Facebook is not as good at, and where YouTube excels in. Okay, it does come down to the audience as well. So if you're running, for example, against keyword audiences, they tend to be smaller, but they convert very well. If you're going for in-market and affinity audiences, they tend to work very well at scale. Okay, going through this as quickly as I can. I know it's a lot for everybody to take in, so I'll try to keep it. Couple more things, just additional considerations around scale. And we're going to talk about this, and Aaron's going to take you through the 8-figure roadmap and other considerations that we're going to talk about next week in the bonus session. Okay, so one of the things you can also do is just monitor what's known as conversion lag. Not everybody, I've mentioned this before, not everybody, about 1 to 5% are going to convert through your funnel through a traffic campaign. You may get more. I'm not saying it's always 1 to 5%, but that's an average. But a lot of people will convert after you start sending them good quality emails to them, and they're opening and they're genuine interested, and they have the problem that they are looking to solve. So providing you have all of that, then there's a report in Universal Analytics. Once you set up your conversions in Google Analytics, in the case of GA4, it would be events that you need to create. But in traditional Universal Analytics, there's a report called time lag, and it shows you how long people take to convert. In this case, most of the conversions are happening on day 0, but there's a 80% maybe are converting right away, but there's another 20% which are converting much later in your funnel. Okay, so that's one. Here's another really interesting one. This is Segmetrics. I think I've mentioned Segmetrics to all of you, haven't I? Segmetrics.io is a sophisticated tool, and if you're interested, folks, let us know, because we have a 50% discount. Let me know in the Slack if you want the link, but we have a 50% discount with the CEO with that. So just let me know in the Slack channel, and we have I'll put that into the Slack channel. Perhaps that's the best place to do. But this report is extremely helpful. What it's telling us is how long does it take to close a sale. Remember, our businesses are based on revenue. It's all well and good to have the traffic and cost per lead, and we're getting book calls, and we've got all these KPIs and all the rest of it. But if you're not making money, you're in trouble. So making money is the key thing here. Now, with something like Segmetrics, you can link your Stripe, your PayPal, your authorized.net merchant accounts directly into Segmetrics. You can also connect Keep, Infusionsoft. You can connect, I think you can at least. You can certainly connect Go High Level. You can connect a whole host of platforms. You can connect to multiple softwares, and you also connect your ad accounts to Segmetrics as well. So what Segmetrics does, it will take your data from your ad accounts, providing you add the tracking parameters in your ad accounts, in your ads, I should say. Then you've also got the connection to the CRM, your CRM, and you've got the connection to the payment platform. And it puts all of these together, and it can work out what's known as your sales velocity here. So as you can see, it takes about 5 days before people buy, and this is a coaching program, by the way. This is a $8,000 coaching program you're looking at here, okay? And it's a new offer that this particular client has asked us. We're going into it's an existing client that came to us and said, we want to test new offers. And so this client is not expecting huge results, but we're using Segmetrics to make decisions on really what's happening. And we're looking at the sales cycle here. So it takes them on average, and they have different price points, but the average price point on their coaching program, I think, is $9,000. But it's taken them about 5 days to close. From the first moment the contact is created in Segmetrics, so Segmetrics sees a new opt-in with an email. By the time they purchase, it's taking 5 days, or 4.84 days. Okay, and you can see that this, because all of this is just testing. We've got from May until August, literally right up to today. This is how many leads we've generated, and we're using this to understand the dynamics of the offer, essentially. It also, as you build this out, you're going to find that it's going to determine a little bit your budgeting. So you don't want to overspend, particularly when you're at very important budgets. you want to make sure that the business is cash flow is working properly. If you've got a sales cycle where it takes you 40 or 60 days from the moment they see an ad, opt in, become a lead ad, whatever it is, from the moment they come to lead, from the moment they come and sell, it's 60 days, then you cannot scale unless you have the cash flow to do it. Does that make sense, everybody? It's a little bit complicated. Imagine I'm selling, who was selling mattresses? Was it you, Elizabeth? Yeah, so Elizabeth. So let's say you're generating a lead, but you, with this tool, discover it takes 60 days to close a mattress sale. What you can't do is, even if your cost per lead KPI is coming in on target, and you say, oh, I just want more leads, I want more leads, you're going to have to make a decision on, well, okay, but I don't have an unlimited budget. Maybe what your goal is going to be more on volume of leads in order to close more sales. But does the store or does the outlet or wherever it is have the cash flow to sustain that for 60 days? Because it's going to take them 60 days to convert that lead into a one-on-one consultation session and then close the sale. I'm exaggerating to illustrate a point. I'm hoping it doesn't take 60 days to close a sale, but maybe it does. This is where the time lags and where you've got to understand that the business is operating across different data points, and you've got to be responsible about the budget, right? Does that make sense? Yeah, cool. Okay, so with that said, are there any questions at this juncture? I'm going to stop because then we're going to go straight into the exercise. How am I doing on time, everybody? I'm doing okay. Oh, look at that. I caught up a little bit. Let me put my video on and stop sharing.
About minutes, but let me see. Let me go to our questions and see. I think we have a few. I've got one from Kevin.
Yep.
Kevin says, any notes or caveats on starting or scaling campaigns on certain days of the week in your experience?
Not really, Kevin. We just go with what the day, we're looking at a Monday so the way we organize our time is to look from Monday through to Sunday. Now, if you're going to be, it really depends on the offer. If your offer is evergreen, like Elizabeth is selling mattress and we'll be selling mattresses and lots of them, hopefully, through paid traffic, then, and there may be, for example, a compelling event that's coming up, but you got to be ready to scale. For example, like there's Black Friday coming up and so on and so forth. So, but there's no particular like scaling on a Monday or a Wednesday or a Saturday. We generally look at 7-day windows because there's just too many variables to really help us determine whether statistically, Monday is a better day than Saturday. The only time that does happen, and it's rare, is when you're at significant ad spend levels, okay? So for example, we're looking at that previous client. He's got a particular summit coming up, and we know from experience that we may scale a little bit harder on certain days, particularly at the weekends, than we will during the weekdays, because we know that his avatar are not particularly attentive during the week, but they are more attentive during the weekdays, if that makes sense. But overall, that's in about 10% of the cases. So we're just scaling based on the last 7 days number. Let's say you come to Wednesday and you're looking at your last 7 days, not necessarily the Monday before through to the Sunday just gone. Let's say you're looking at the last 7 days. Remember, we were talking about last 3 days, last 7, last 14. You're going to look at that data to see if there's a tendency and an opportunity for scale if you want to, okay? If you have the budget, and B, you've got the cash flow to sustain it, because it may take a while to close that into a sale, if that makes sense. Hope that answers the questions a little bit. Yeah, got a thanks there. No questions, anybody?
No, you've done a great job of keeping up with them. So you've been helping us.
Okay, good. All right, perfect. I'm sure there'll be more coming up. Now, here comes the fun interactive time, everybody. It's showtime. Are you ready?
Woohoo, let's go.
Have we got the brain switched on? Just say yes.
Yes.
Hold on, I'm coming up with one, Elizabeth. Yeah, okay. I'll take more questions as we go along. Yeah. Okay. When your clients want to, I'm just looking at some, Elizabeth, you're writing a question. And you can mute yourself as well, folks. Don't need to be shy here. We're all one happy family. When your clients want to scale more aggressively, how do you tame that conversation? Great question, Lauren. So we do what we do is a kind of mini marketing plan. So we try to find that out well before the event. So for example, in that YouTube example, when we knew the summit was coming up 3 months before. What we don't tolerate and what we won't do is, like, we had an example with the Dalai Lama, which we talked about, where they said, can you promote this event, blah, 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 in 30 days. We said no, because we just won't, it will only come back to haunt us, right? We just don't have that capability. But if they want to scale more aggressively, that's fine, but it's contingent on you having involvement with their businesses on a much deeper level. I think you've probably seen an underlying trend that what we do is much more than just paid media. We're trying to find out and understand how the business cycle works, if there's any seasonality. We'll look at the analytics and all the rest of it. We look at their objectives. If we tell them that their objectives are unrealistic, we'll tell them it's unrealistic, unless they want to go into TikTok and programmatic and they want to do display and all that thing. Do you have the budget? Can you pay us, etc., etc. So the way we get around that is have as much proactive interaction with the client. Normally on a quarterly basis, we'll sort of sit down and say, what are your plans? What are your targets for Q3? But we talk about that sort of like in the middle of Q2. And you'll be surprised, Lauren, how many clients sort of say, I don't know what I want to do in Q3. Yeah, I just want to make more money. Oh, okay, good. How much more? So you got to really sort of be on top of, lead them and not let them lead you. It's because otherwise, or the boss has to have clarity. A marketing director, for example, normally they filter down. So like in big organizations, you take like Red Bull or Heineken, that comes down from sort of like European CEO level. That filters down into the country. That goes into the country CEO. That's all agreed with the CFOs as well. So like Heineken Group here in Spain report into the Heineken Group in the Netherlands. Okay, that's where they happen to be based. That's where the company, that's where they got all their marketing and all that. That comes down to the CEO, CFO level. Then that goes into the marketing directing level. So for example, in about 1 month or 2 months time, Heineken are going to set their goals for 2023 already. Okay, and that will be agreed at a country level and a pan-European or a pan-continental level. That will be agreed in the next months. And then essentially it comes into the marketing directors, and then they'll given their objectives by December, by the end of December. And that will start basically their planning. Then they have another few weeks of planning, and then it comes into there. And all the big brands work the same way. Heineken, British Airways, they all work the same way. And then they set their marketing budgets. So, you know, maybe Heineken next year will have $2 million or $3 million in order to do just on production. Maybe they'll have another 15, 20 million on media. Maybe they'll have offline media, another 5 million for TV, for example, you know, and then they're sort of pan-European. I'm answering the question a little bit expansively, but the golden rule is that be ahead of them instead of them being ahead of you. Okay.
All right, we have a question from Elizabeth saying, how can we determine in Google search what scaling looks like compared to our competition? Aaron gave us the bid cap example for Facebook. What's that look like in Google search?
So you do have like target CPA bidding as well. When you're starting out, generally speaking, we leave it on just enhanced CPC, which is the default sort of bidding that you're going to use. But once you get enough volume, what we've often found is that we leave our enhanced CPA unless we're sort of just got it depends on the mix of the traffic, but you do have other options in bidding like you do in YouTube with Google search, no problem at all. So you've got like bid capping and cost capping in Facebook. You can do exactly the same in Google search. So if you only want to trigger ads that are likely to give you a target CPA of $5, £5, euros, whatever it happens to be, you can do that in Google search as well. In terms of scaling, Google search is the more difficult one to scale, and I haven't covered it because of the time factor more than anything else. But the golden rule is that you're looking for, and this goes back to my session a week ago, in Google search, what you're looking for are buyer keywords. We call them, to use the word buyer keywords, we're looking for converter keywords. In other words, they're typing into Google like specific problems. How much does this cost? Or how quickly can I lose weight? Or lose weight quickly? And those sort of things. We're looking for those specific because we know that those keywords, whilst they're more competitive, because they're going to be more expensive, we're looking for those ones because we want them to convert quickly. Then there's a second round of scaling which you can do, which is where you go for less competitive keywords, which are more informational based type keywords, like how would I choose a mattress? How to choose a mattress. You could consider that a buyer keyword because they're actively saying to Google, how do I choose a mattress? Which implies they're interested in buying a mattress. But if you've got a keyword which says mattress types, latex mattress types, that's like, what's that? They're not saying how much does a latex mattress cost. They're not asking that question. They're just saying, they're just looking for more information about a particular type of mattress. In that case, you can get very cheap clicks and probably a lot of volume because it's so generic, the searches, that go and visit your website. And then you can retarget those people that have triggered a search for latex mattress differences versus vinyl or whatever. You can see I'm not an expert of mattresses, but you can do like more top of funnel, middle of funnel type keywords, which are more sort of informational based. That will give you a lot more scale. I haven't put it in slides, but I'm explaining it hopefully so that you can understand it. You've got information seekers, which are not necessarily ready to buy. Our goal initially in Google search is to get conversions, leads, appointments, sign-ups for a coupon, whatever it is you have, sign up for a strategy or discovery session, something like that. That's where the keywords are. That's where we start. When you're scaling in Google search, which I didn't cover in the slides, when you're scaling in Google search, then you need to, it's limited by the search volume. If there's only 1,000 searches a month saying latex, a latex mattress cost, then there's just 1,000. You can't force people to search what you want them to search for. So you're going to have to go sort of more to the top of funnel keywords, which are more informational based. And then you can start retargeting the people that have said, this person triggered because they're looking for information about this type of mattress. They go and visit like an informational page about different types of mattresses, mattress types, for example, okay, or orthopedic mattresses or whatever, mattresses for bad backs. They're interested, but they're not ready to buy with that type of keyword. So you're going to send that traffic. It's probably going to cost you like 50 cents or $1 to get them to see that. And you say, well, okay, but they're not going to sell. But maybe you have, like, as they exit, or maybe you got a pop-up or something which says, just in case you want to shop with us in the future, claim your 10% discount. Or you maybe have an exit pop which says, you're still looking for more information? We got this full video explanation and free PDF that will tell you everything you need to know depending on the degree of sciatica you've got or whatever, you know. So you're starting with keywords which are more informational. Then you can retarget them, or you can do something exactly on that particular page on your website. But their information, so the smart people in Google search are the ones which are always going for the bottom of funnel keywords, the buyer keywords, but they're growing their audience and they're growing their influence by going for more informational type keywords where there's way less competition, and probably more search volume. That's where the scale comes from. Yeah.
Got it. Mahai is asking, how do you communicate to them the need that you have insight into their entire business?
How do I communicate that we have the desire or need to get insight into their business? Is that the question? Sorry, let me read it. Let me listen to it again.
Yes. He's saying, how
Yeah.
do you communicate
Yeah.
that?
So it really comes down to your positioning with clients. So, you know, what you've seen and we're going to see in these exercises that we're going to be doing together, it's not just about the paid media. Yes, the paid media is the start of that customer journey that we've talked about. But the way we communicate is that we ask them deliberately in our case, and I've found that if you're just like selling media buying services, it works, of course, and it depends, and there's lots of different situations where it's perfect and that's all you need to do. But we just simply say, look, what are your objectives? Because then from there, we will develop a media plan based on that. We're going to say to them, you know, well, we think you should start with Google search, or you should start with Facebook ads. And look, we ask for them all the funnel, because the way we position them, Mihai, is that we say, we want to know if we can genuinely help them or not, or we have a good chance of genuinely helping them. And that's what we say. We said, look, we may or may not be able to help you, but it depends on what your objectives are and what you're trying to achieve. If you're talking to, for example, a business owner. So if a business owner wants to get, you know, X amount of leads and all the rest of it, and there's lots of different circumstances, you know, there are insurance companies out there that say, look, I don't care. You just go and get me leads and I'll pay you $20 a lead. And your job is to just go and get them for less than $20 a lead, not more, right? And you would sell those leads on. That's the pay per lead model, where you're not paid on a retainer, you're paid on the result that you deliver. And if you deliver them to 100 leads a week and you're getting paid, what, $50 or $20, then you're going to get your money. You're going to get paid on that. As long as your ad cost is low, that you're going to make a profit. I don't know if that answers the questions a little bit, Mihai, but if not, put it in the chat box again so I can elaborate for you.
So Ricky is asking, how do you have an example of when you've killed or stopped working with a client because they just didn't take your advice?
Yes. Yep. We've fired clients. Yeah. We have, I'm not going to say obviously who it is, but we have a situation right now where the client had decided to increase the price of their coaching program from $3,000 to $30,000. That's a front end. And we said, that's not going to work. Well, I think if you do the targeting and blah, 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 it's not going to work. Well, if you, it's not going to work. Bye-bye. We just say goodbye. So we can't help you. We don't know how to do that. If you do find someone to let us, we'll be really interested to find out. But obviously that doesn't happen if you're sort of like starting out. You have to build that up because you have to have a pipeline, obviously, of clients in order to do that, which we're very fortunate in that we do. So we've got like a wait list of about 10 clients at the moment, but we just can't service them at the moment because we just don't have the people at the moment. And that's a very, very great position to be in. But we weren't there at the beginning. I can assure you that. That took time.
Yeah, so his follow-up is that, or do you just let them pay you to just do whatever they say? But I guess you're saying
Well,
that,
you can do that, and we have done that. Yeah, you can do that. But we're very clear in our communications, and if we, because at the end of the day, you're going to get fired. They're going to come back to you. They're going to come back to you and say, we told you we wanted you to sell this $300,000 coaching program on cold traffic. And we said, yeah, well, we don't know how to do that. Well, if you change the targeting, then we say, okay, well, we'll try your targeting, we'll try your ads, we'll try your funnel, etc., etc. It's just it just, as long as we're clear, and then they come back at the end, they say, you didn't get the result I want. No, I told you we couldn't get the result we want. We told you that 3 months ago. But if you want to keep paying me for stupidity, then
I will take it.
if you want to keep paying me, but I'll take your money. I'm not going to say no. But yeah, we try to. We're just we're as honest as we can, in the sense that if we see something that deviates substantially, we will let them. It's just ethical. It's just good business practice to tell them that. We just said it. We think it's just good business practice to be upfront with them as much as we can. I realize that that's not easy to do, though. There was a time when we had to find clients. We had to do things that we didn't want to do, but the client insisted that we do them. There was a time when that happened, but as your experience and self-confidence grows, then you obviously, your client list starts expanding slowly, by either through referrals or your own funnels and that sort of thing. And so it does get a bit easier, but it's not overnight, for sure. Yeah.
That is the last question that that we had.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I'm seeing Lauren sort of saying at Disney. Okay, well, I'll have a look. There's quite a lot of questions probably still in here. Why don't we go to the interactive session, folks? Are you ready? Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, let's do it. Let's do it. This is fun. I'm gonna see. Some of them are easy, some of them, but given that you've gone through the initial practice the other day, this should be quite quick and easy for you. Let me just see. Okay, can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so have a look at this one. Okay, so here we are. Have a look at this, everybody, folks. I've got 4 here. We'll try to get through them as quickly as we can. I know we're at 1:30. Can't believe how quickly the time goes. Okay, so this is a YouTube campaign. So what would you do here? I'm going to pull up the chat as well. Okay, so what would you do here? YouTube campaign. Yeah, we should have some fun music in the background with countdown something, shouldn't we?
Don't ask me to sing. I'm sorry.
What's the one hinge?
Oh, Kevin says address view rate.
Okay. Just the VSL. Any more?
Pam says video rate looks to be the big needle mover.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
That's the VSL.
Mm-hmm.
View
video, you right?
says book calls are half what they need to be on the bottom.
Yeah, this is the actual goal, and this is what happened. So we spent $4,000 here in YouTube over 1 week. Book calls are half what they need to be at the bottom. How do you mean book calls are half what they need to be? You mean the book call, the volume, Lauren? Our book call rate. Okay, yeah. Okay, exactly. Yeah, you spotted a couple. You've all got it right, but which one would you work on? What's the first one you would work on this case? What's the first thing you would do? Because doing everything at once and testing multiple things at once is difficult, right? But what one thing would you do in your marketing here? What's the, if I forced you to choose one, which one would it be?
I'm saying view rate, video view rate, average watch time.
Victoria, do you mean view rate of which one? The view rate up here, you mean? The 23.41%. Okay. Video view rate. Okay. Yeah.
Suzanne increased the watch times so that people would learn more about the opportunities. They would be more solid on booking the call.
Yeah, exactly. You got it, folks. This is one of the cases where we had on Tuesday. That's why I thought it would be easy. Most of you got it right. Yeah. Look at the opt-in. So everything is pretty lined up here, right? We're close. Forget about the all. That's a Facebook. That's just copied across from a Facebook sheet. It's just one CTR. It's a little bit low, but it's not atrocious either, right? We're getting a good opt-in rate. So our opt-in rate and even our cost per lead is below our KPI. So I wouldn't focus on the advertising side, nor would I focus on the opt-in rate, but look at the video view rate. It's supposed to be 30% and it's roughly 15%, right? 14.5%. You got it, exactly. So the first thing is that people are not engaging with the VSL. Not enough. Because if we had this going through and we had the average watch time going through, remember that the view rate and the watch times are different. One is that they're actually initiating to watch the video. The other one is the watch time, okay? Both, there's no good call to action, it seems like. They're not starting to, they're just skipping it. They're completely, it's almost like not all of them, but a good half of them are just skipping that particular phase. And this is the glue that joins all of this good stuff here to this semi-good stuff here, because the book call rate is very low, right? 25%. Look at how much it's costing us to get a call stroke survey, right? Okay, good. All right, next one. Another YouTube one for you, folks. Okay, number 2. What will you do here? What's the first thing you would do? And don't be ashamed if you get it wrong. There's no judgment here. We're all friends. Just put what you think is the best one. Cue music, cue singing. What would you do here? Okay.
Page view rate. CTR need a stronger, more relevant call to action.
Yeah.
CTR is lower than that metric. Landing conversions is very low.
Yeah, okay, keep going. Any more? Got Victoria, got Ricky, got Jenny. Through the landing page.
View rate.
Behind view rate's very low. Yeah. Johnny, and I'll answer that one as well. This was a particular skip, but I left it out just so you get, it makes it a little bit easier for you.
What are all the NAs on the view rate and watch time?
Well, that was because we took a particular test on this particular case where we were going for the opt-in, but there was a problem with the measurement on that particular one. Okay. We had a problem with the video. I think there was something going on in Worcester in this particular case. Okay. So but the answer is really your CTR is very, very low, right? Your opt-in, look at the opt-in rate. It's very close, right? It's 20%. and the cost per lead is not far off, but still we're not getting enough traction here. Look at the CTR, it's 0.4 and 6.1 view rate. That is horrendously low, okay? In this particular case, we were expecting, because we made a judgment call on this particular client, that we wanted a higher view rate. And that's because they're running ads before. So this was a test, and this is the global result. So I'm not looking at the ad level, okay? We don't have that drilled down. We're just looking at the overall account. But when you're looking at the overall account, your first problem here is going to be the CTR, your click-through rate. People are not even watching the video ad properly. It should be 20%, and therefore they're not, probably there's a direct correlation almost where they're not even clicking. There's not enough people clicking, and yet we had 1,220 clicks in that particular week. Okay, all right. So your number one thing, this is an ad problem, folks. This is an ad targeting problem that needs to be focused on first. Okay. So far, so good. Because if you look at everything else, the opt-in rate looks pretty good. Okay, I'll initiate the booking for the book call is at 17. It's a little bit low, so there's work to be done there. So we're not too far off. We're not atrocious, but this gives you which is the smallest hinge, in quotes, that is going to move the biggest door. It's going to be in your ad. And what would you do? You would kill the ad, and you would replace it with one of the other ads that you already had prepared beforehand in your first 30 days, if you remember, okay? And the non-applicables were simply down to a bug in Wistia or something along those lines at that time, okay? All right, next one, because I'm sure we've got questions as well. Facebook one now. All right, this one, folks. What are you going to do here? This is a good one. What are you going to do here? Spend $13,000. What would be your next step here? These are your metrics.
Let's throw a double budget at this. Scale, duplicate it. It looks positive. So just scale up, make it rain.
Yeah, well done. Everyone got it right. Exactly. Look at this. This is crazy. Scale City. Exactly, Kevin. Exactly. You got it. Look at this. It's crazy. We're getting half our cost per book call. Okay. There is a little bit of a problem here going on, right? So we've got 34%, but still Scale City. It's absolutely, it's duplicate that campaign and start hitting the budget fast, providing you have the budget to do so, of course. And you've got the cash flow to sustain it. If your sales cycle is very short, then you can go ahead and just say to your marketing director or to whoever your client, whoever it happens to be, say, hey, we're going to get double the call. Can you handle the volume? And that's something I'm going to talk about, because you can scale very quickly in Facebook using the techniques I've outlined, but you can do the same in YouTube as I've outlined. But can they actually handle the volume? Is your calendar available? So one of the things we've seen, and this is just a little tip I want to introduce on this particular case, when you see, for example, if you're running a strategy funnel, a discovery call funnel, so that's opt-in, become a lead, watch a VSL, hit the button to book a call, they book, and then they don't book. And then suddenly your CP, your cost per book call is like, I don't know, let's just put an example on this slide. Let's say it was $700. Check that there's availability on the calendar, because there have been numerous times when our clients have said, oh, this week we've got only 3 salespeople because the other 3 are on a training course. And though therefore there's less availability in the calendar booking system, either Calendly, Schedule Once, or whatever system, Acuity, it doesn't matter what you're using, there's less availability in the calendar, and so people can't book. And if they can't book, your CPA goes through the roof. All right. So make sure, one of the things our campaign managers do every week is that they go through the funnel and make sure that there's availability on the calendar. In fact, our account strategists look at it as well on different days of the week. So on Monday, the strategists will look at it. On Wednesday, our media buyer will look at it, because your cost per call will go through the roof if you have little availability in the calendar. And just as a general rule, another tip for you guys is you shouldn't open your calendar for the next 72 days. Keep it open for up to 3 to 4 business days maximum. Okay. You need to have your calendar open from roughly 9. Let's say your average sales call is going to last 45 minutes to an hour. So you block an hour. You're going to block 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon, or possibly 4 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. But you're going to leave the calendar, you're going to set up your Schedule Once, your Acuity, or whatever software you're using. Just make sure that you keep it open for 3 to 4 days in the direct response funnels, okay? Because if you keep your calendar open and they book 2 weeks from now, then there may not be, they often don't show for those strategy sessions or those calls, okay? They will not show. Your show rate goes down. People forget, life gets in the way. Even if you're sending them text reminders, you're sending them whatever, just make sure that you keep your calendar tight and that it's available. And because when we've had situations where a calendar's not open and then our cost per book call suddenly goes through the roof, the team goes crazy. Our team goes crazy. So what the hell is going on? Why has it jumped from $150 or $100 per cost per call? And then boom, it's because the calendar is just not available. Okay. And again, just keep it open for 3 to 4 days. And the final tip I'm going to add for you on this is your follow-up is obviously when they book, you send a confirmation email. Another tip is that 24 hours, you're going to send 4 reminders, 24 hours before, okay? Another one 8 hours before, another one at 4 hours before, and you're going to send another reminder 1 hour before, another one 10 minutes before. It sounds aggressive, but trust me, it works, okay? It works. So that's 4 reminders within that 24-hour window, okay? So that will allow you, it's not always a CRO issue. It's a usability issue. If they can't use your calendar, you don't have it available, then your CPAs are going to go through the roof. It's not always a landing page optimization problem. It's not always an ad problem. It's something more subtle like that. Maybe your emails are stopped going out. Maybe you've run out of credits on your SMS reminders. So remember that all these systems work together in order for you to get the result that you want to. And just if one piece breaks, your CPAs will completely get destroyed. Okay. All right. Last one. Next one, everybody. Let's go for it. What would you do on this one? This is an info product funnel. Okay, running on Facebook. The funnel is opt in for a lead. There's a front end offer. And then there's an OTO. Okay, After the OTO 1, there's an OTO 2 for a free trial of a membership. Question is, what would you attack first? Again, no judgment.
Funnel conversion is lower, so review the landing page. Opt-in is low, outbound CTR.
Yeah. Yeah.
Upgrade rate.
Yeah. Yeah, this is all good stuff. You're getting it, folks. You're definitely getting it.
Opt-in rate's low. I think that's the biggest impact, the opt-in rate.
Right.
Rate.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's another case of this case. If we can get the opt-in rate, but here's an opportunity where you could take almost two things at once. But the first one is going to be your opt-in rate. You've got 25% as your target opt-in rate, and we've got 16%. We get a lot more leads, we'll get more people coming through this funnel, right? But also, if we can improve the click-through rate, we obviously need both of them happening at the same time, okay? And that's perfectly okay. It's the only circumstance, really, it's a bit of an odd case where you could actually do two things at once. You could get the media on your media buying side. You need to work on this CTR. You know this is half of what it should be. So there's a big problem with your messaging or with your ad in Facebook or your targeting, okay? But also, if you get that up to 1% and you get that up to, let's say, 20%, then you're going to get a double effect that will come through and possibly go through the funnel properly, because like the purchase rate is, the initial checkout rate is good. We're expecting 16%, we're expecting 15%, I should say, and the purchase rate to be 25%. It's actually higher, but we're just not getting enough people through the front end of this funnel. A, they're not interested in clicking the ads, okay? B, we can work on our landing page and improve the conversion rate optimization. People are just not opting in. There's a problem with the messaging between the ad or the hook in the ad and that on the landing page. So here is an example of where you could actually work on two things almost at one time, if that makes sense. Okay, good stuff. Well, well done, everybody. Good exercise. Do you find that useful?
I do.
Let me stop sharing the screen.
That's really good. Yes, super useful.
Great, excellent. Let me get my video on. Fantastic. Well, so folks, this is I'm sure there's more questions though, but I do have another call at the top of the hour and I've got to jump off at least 2 minutes earlier. So we can, bring up a lot more questions, obviously, in the Slack channel. And then, of course, we got the bonus session next week. So we're not going anywhere. We're still available in Slack. I know I take a little while to respond, probably a day or two, but I'll always get back to them as quickly as I can. But let's see if we can knock out at least a few questions from you, because I'm sure there are a few,
I have Jenny who was asking, as a rule of thumb, do you usually work on the metric that's the earliest in the funnel?
Yeah, generally speaking, yes. Generally speaking, we work on, again, there's lots of moving parts, as you can see, and lots of different statistics. But generally speaking, we're going for the weakest link first, but there's normally a cause and effect. So like in that last example, the CTR was half of what it should have been, and you're looking at a 60% objective. We're only reaching 60% of our opt-in rate, okay? So that's a classic example, is that if you can fix the front, everything behind should trickle down. So generally speaking, yes, we generally work on the front end metrics first. But that's why I keep coming back to the sort of same topic, is if you have although when you're starting out from scratch, everything is a test, everything. Your landing page is a test, everything, your audience targeting is a test, your ad is a test, but we've given you the tools to maximize your chances of success earlier on in this boot camp, the empathy mapping, the content mapping. We've given you all those things. Those are specific things where we've seen direct correlation on speed of results by doing the homework, the boring stuff first, okay? By doing the boring stuff, you get out of the way, you don't like it, it's not exciting, you're not spending like money and we're launching and all the rest of it, but just putting in those few hours of sweat equity there is a direct correlation, and that's why your first 30 days are so critical.
I don't have any other questions in the chat. Again, you did such a good job of answering them as we went.
Wow. Okay, good stuff. All right. Well, have a look at Please Digest, because many of you perhaps are going to watch the recording again, and I'm sure there's going to be more questions that come up in your mind, and it surrounds your specific case or your specific circumstance. So go through this session again, because I'm sure there'll be more questions. So ask me, please, in the Slack, and we'll definitely get back to you as soon as possible. But you did well today. Well done, everybody.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
You did very, very well.
As a reminder to everyone that because Aaron is going to be traveling on Tuesday, we're going to have our next and our last session on Thursday. I'm going to get the whole Zoom thing figured out. I'm going to make sure that we all have the link and that we can all get in. We're also going to do our class photo next Thursday because we can't have it without Aaron being in the picture.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll our class photo and all that will be in the Slack. So keep your eye on that to keep up to date on everything. And Sydney's put our link in the chat, and it's also on Slack to review our boot camp. We're now getting towards the end. We want to know what you thought, see how we did, how Andy and Aaron did. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to have them back again. I don't know if they get a good job or not. So we need.
We need your feedback, folks. The only way to make these great, from good to great, is to give us your feedback. So don't be frightened. We won't be ashamed. We won't be sad. We just want to hear your honest, raw feedback on what you found best, what you didn't find so well, all that good stuff. Just let us know.
Yes, and this is our very first Media Buyer Boot Camp. So, this was the guinea pig. So if it was great, we can only make it better. And I do have a question from Suzanne's talking about if we're going to have any kind of capstone project or.
Yes. Yeah, that's something which I'm clarifying with Aaron. Actually, I have a meeting on that with Aaron tomorrow. So we're going to be talking about that, exactly what that's going to look like to get you through the certification. It's not going to be an MBA dissertation, so don't panic, everybody. I'm going to ask you to complete a doctorate, but we will be testing you for sure, because we want to see if you really truly absorb the content and you've understood the principles that everything is being done. We appreciate that everyone's at different phases of their journey, so we'll sort that all out in the next few days for sure, and we'll keep you posted. Okay.
Yes, definitely by next Thursday, we'll have everything.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Everyone, sorry about the problems we had at the beginning, but we had another meeting going on that had similar problems. So maybe it was a Zoom issue because we had other meetings have problems at that exact same time, but we're going to get it sorted.
Really?
Yes. And so thank you for your patience, and we will see you back here on Thursday, next Thursday.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, keep me posted, everybody. I look forward to your questions in Slack. Okay.
Great.
Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye.